What's up, people? We are back with more Eden. In the previous video, we once again had a pretty nice conversation with Mia or Maya. I think her name is Maya. But I'm really starting to think that there might be starting something between Ryou and Maya. I'm not entirely sure though, but I feel like whenever they're conversing, there's at least some sort of chemistry there, but let's find out. I returned to the cottage after sunset, prepared dinner, and checked Sion's health after the meal. It was an ordinary night, except for one thing. After I finished Sion's checkup, Maya's got a serious look on her face. "I want to talk," is how she broke the ice. To talk? What for? What for? The wind was taken right out of her sails. "Do you wish to discuss the root of all existence?" Nothing as lofty as that. Maya was already on the verge of tears. The way Sion teased her was far harsher than I could ever manage. Never mind that," she shouted, half in tears. "Aw. I'll just lay it all out in the open. I want to interview you more. I still have things I want to ask you." "I know." "That's cruel." Sion idly gazed at Maya, who sniffled as she spoke. "Ryou, make some tea." "Got it." Although Sion teased her, she did seem to intend to talk with her. I quickly prepared some black tea and set it down in front of Sion and Maya. The two were seated across the table from each other. I stood a short distance away from the table. "Why are you here, Sion?" Maya got the ball rolling just as Sion reached for her cup. "To be precise, the Sion you and many others picture in your mind no longer exists." Sion answered that sudden question sleekly and without agitation. "The person who resides here is a relic of the being you all once called Sion." That's not an answer, but it's true. Sion sipped a mouthful of tea. "Sion, you're the one who gave hope to mankind when all we could do was wait for the end. There were also people I drove to despair, and people who believed they'd be better off dead if they had to leave this planet. It's a fact that you saved the lives of billions." However, Maya got remarkably close to Sion's face. "Isn't there anything more you can do for the world?" "No." An immediate reply. "It's something I've pondered many a time. All I did was design the colony ship engines. I wouldn't know what to do with them once they've taken off. The evacuation project isn't over, and yet you're here in this place. Are you okay with that? You're the one who told me I was pronounced dead. That means I was no longer needed. I'm sure you could fit in just about anywhere if you put your mind to it. The project may end, but there must be a pile of things that need to be done to ensure mankind's survival in space. When that time comes, with your cooperation..." "I see. I guess we never made it clear to you." "Sion," my voice was more chiding than I intended. But Sion shook her head slightly and spoke. "I have little time remaining. Nearly all the other felixes have died. Alicia, who collected and analyzed our colleagues' clinical data, informed me that I didn't have long to live." "But you look so healthy. I mean, sure you look ill at times, but I can't believe you're near death," Maya said in a feeble voice before removing her glasses. I could see that her hands were shaking ever so slightly. "Even I don't know when the end will come." Then Sion tilted her head gently and smiled. "I wonder which will come first, the end of the world or my death." "Sion!" Maya slammed her fist into the table and bit her lip. "You seriously intend to stay behind on an ending world?" expelling everyone into space, and living on a nice, quiet, uninhabited world. Maybe that's what I was after all along. Yeah, her plan was like, get everybody off this island. I'll make this planet, and I'll own this planet myself. I'll be here all alone. But that's genius. I have longed for nothing. I've lived for 100 years. I had so very many things I had to get done, and I've accomplished them all. That's why it's fine by me if I just simply died. Die? Then you won't be able to meet that Miss Alicia person. Sion smiled and did not answer her. She drank her black tea with a smile on her face. Maya. You tell her too, Haruna. Maya glared at me with resentment as tears formed in her eyes. Nobody can change Sion's mind. Everyone recognizes Sion for who she is, because she has a strong will which bends to no one. Isn't that right? But... waiting here for her final moments. It's so lonely. And that's for Sion to decide as well. She must have been wishing for Sion not to die from the bottom of her heart. She must have wanted Sion to live in the new world she guided everyone to. Even I understood how she felt. You have a future, Maya. The future that Alicia, the other felixes, and many others helped create. I want you to live. I want everyone to live. Sion. Maya's voice trembled as she said Sion's name. When Sion said everyone, she wasn't counting herself. I dare say she had already considered herself dead, and I was sure Maya already knew that too. I set my gun beside my pillow and flopped onto my bed. Though I couldn't be sure that Maya had to come to terms with it afterwards, she backed off. Maya truly had come to love Sion. I understood her desire not to leave Sion alone, so I couldn't be very hard on Maya either. Be that as it may, there was ultimately no path left for Mia but to leave this place. What was that just now? It was like a chill had just passed through me. It's a ghost. It was making me nervous. I grabbed my gun and stood up. Nothing seemed particularly abnormal when I looked out the window. Everyone heard that like, shh, right? Or is it my imagination? I listened carefully, but nothing stood out. The very moment I heard a faint noise, I gripped my gun and ran from the room. Sion! Though the ground was warm, these mountains were cold in their own right at night. Sion, who stood outside the cottage, seemed to be slightly trembling. Did you notice it as well? I'm not quite sure what it might be, but I'll check it out. So get inside. I want to be here. You must be cold. Go to where Maya is. She seems to be asleep. It's been a long day for her. Wake her up if you have to. Just be by her side. If something happens, don't worry about me and run. She unexpectedly squeezed my hand. I could feel the sensation of her warm, gentle touch on mine. Sion? Is there anywhere safer than by your side? Her tone was so indifferent, I couldn't tell whether she was joking or whether she was serious. I'm honestly a huge coward. I couldn't help but feel anxious if Alicia wasn't constantly by my side. But you protected me. You don't just say you will, you truly continue to protect me. Sion looked up at me with those great big eyes of hers. They contained no insecurity nor instability. Within them appeared to dwell nothing other than a deep trust for that which they gazed upon. Almost like the eyes of a young child looking up at her mother. Nothing scares me anymore because you're here, Ryou. You're the one who protected me to this day. Then she looked away. She gazed into the trees, and at the mountains obscured by darkness. "It's coming," and whispered that single phrase. The flutter of birds flapping their wings all at once could be heard in the distance. Flappy Bird. In the moment it happened, there seemed to be a pandemonium all over the mountain. That had arrived. What? I held Sion close, almost on reflex. Did I get her fast enough? Or had the shockwave which fiercely shook the air been first? I couldn't tell. I felt the impact for just a brief moment. I opened my eyes and listened closely. I tuned all my senses to pay careful attention to my surroundings. I would protect the tiny body I held in my arms with all that I had from anything that would try to hurt her. When that long moment passed, Sion took a small breath. "Ryou, I wonder what that was just now. The shockwave that passed through didn't seem to have caused any physical damage. It's like something exploded off in the distance. It would be no laughing matter if it was an explosion. I don't think it was nuclear, at least. There was no way there were any idiots carrying around nuclear weapons now that the majority of humanity had left the world. It made no sense for a militaristic nor political stance, and I couldn't imagine there would be any nuclear tests going on. There's no telling without investigating it on site, but I doubt it was man-made. I'm sure this, too, is part of the beginning of the end. The end of the world." I'd seen some devastating omens while I was running around battlefields and on our journey here from the research facility, but this was something else. I guess it was about time some signs manifested. "By the way, Ryou." "What?" "It's kind of hard to breathe." Oops, I'm sorry. Sion's face had turned bright red as she said that in my arms. Once I realized how I was probably suffocating her, I quickly let go. "Sorry." "Not at all." She shook her head slightly. "Thanks." "No need to thank me. It was just a labor of love." "Of love?" That came out wrong. Sion's breathing had already returned to normal, but she was still blushing. Maybe I could tell she was red so clearly because she was so pale to begin with. "So, about Maya. Right. She should be awake now. She'd have to be a real piece of work to sleep through that." "You're being unexpectedly considerate." "To who?" "Never mind. She senses it." She glanced at me and brushed away the hair from her shoulders. "I wasn't referring to that. I meant sending Maya home." "Huh?" "I told her to head out by tomorrow, but I take it back. I don't know what happened, but we'd better off seeing how things go for the next 2 or 3 days. If nothing happens, then she should hurry on her way." "Yeah, that's true. It wouldn't weigh well on my conscience if she died midway. Also, you should escort her." "Escort, really? But what about Sion?" "Understood. I can't take her all that far, though. If something like this were to happen closer to the cottage, with that thought in mind, I couldn't afford to stray very far from Sion. Or would it be safer to bring her along?" "No. Take her far away." "Sion, don't tell me what you're thinking about. No." "Sion?" She looked at me, her face expressionless. "Far away." "Yes. All the way to the spaceport." What are you saying?" "Thank you for everything you've done for me, Ryou. For indulging my whims thus far." "I'm asking you to clarify." The part of me trying to remain as calm as possible was still in the lead. The Ryou Haruna, who used to be a soldier, had surfaced and was trying to analyze the situation in a collected manner. I'm saying this is the end. Head to the port with Maya and free yourself from from the ending world. Why? An indistinct smile rose to her face. In the dark of night, she alone seemed to be the only point of light. I wanted a replacement for Alicia. And Ryou, you wanted to atone. You wanted a chance to atone for the sins from your childhood. Not that I consider those acts a sin. Both of us pretended we're a family to replace someone we lost. We have to put an end to this twisted relationship of ours. I'm sure it will end, even if left alone, but by then, it might be too late. You know I have no intention of leaving, right? I was fine with things that way too. Truly, I even believed I wanted you to stay with me. If Maya hadn't come along, I may have remained selfish to the very end. But you have a future, just like Maya. A long, long future is waiting, and I found myself thinking you mustn't avert your eyes from that fact. That's why you have to go to a place where you can make a future for yourself. I don't have anywhere to go back to. Her words, so full of conviction, grated on my nerves. I betrayed the military, turned a gun on my partner, and I couldn't protect my sister and let Alicia die, and even the major was gone. I had nobody left, nothing left to achieve, and nothing left to protect. I'm not going anywhere. There isn't a single place in existence I want to go either. So, what you seek doesn't have to be a place. What you should really pursue is a future and a dream. Nothing like that exists for me. I've thrown everything away. You'll find a way as long as you're alive. Besides, you're strong. My strength only exists to protect you. Don't decide that all on your own. Sion remained utterly calm and gently rejected my opinion. The end cannot be avoided. However, you mustn't bring your own life to an end here. I'm not. I chose to protect you. You should know that. No. Don't turn me into an excuse for you to run away from reality. You're wrong. If I stayed here, then someday in the not too distant future, I would die. It wasn't as if I doubted that in any way. I'd like to pick the place I die. No, I've already chosen. No, your death is a long, long way away. You've atoned, so it's time to move on. Find a new beginning, Ryou. There's surely a place that needs you. This is goodbye. What? Goodbye? Though her tone was calm, it contained a strength which wouldn't allow me to refuse. Sion had her mind set on how her days would end, the same as I had. That was what I thought, but I couldn't say it aloud. I knew she had committed to this long ago. If there was anything I could say right now, there might be no point in asking her this now. But I have to say this. I clutched my fist and opened my mouth. What am I to you? Do I mean so little to you that you can say goodbye like that so easily? No. Her voice echoed with dignity as she shook her head over and over again. Though it was an extremely short time, I was led by your hand, protected by your back, and was able to live in peace. That was likely something nobody but you could do. I feel this way because you're you, and I'm saying goodbye because you're you. I'm really glad Maya came. I was held prisoner by this life, which was like a dream to me, and nearly did something irredeemable. My feelings for you grew too strong, and I lost sight of something even more important. Sion's lips trembled a little. It was just like that time. Just like that time she said goodbye to Alicia. However unmoving, I could still sense the intense emotion just beneath her face. I'm begging you, please understand. Understand my wish. A string of tears trickled down her cheeks and glistened under the moonlight. I don't want you to die. Her tears would not stop. God, don't cry. Please don't cry. The feelings which poured from her continued to soak her pristine, white cheeks. Sion, I lived my life so I could protect everyone. But now, it's for you, and only you. My only wish, my one wish is for you to live. Wait, wasn't she like unable to cry at all, and this is the first time ever that she's crying? Oh God. Is that really what you want? Sion silently nodded and wiped her face with those tiny hands of hers. She bit her lip and rubbed her cheeks over and over again. I could see the determination on her face, now dirtied with the traces of her tears. Sorry to put this all on you, but this is the last thing I will ever wish for. She whispered that and looked up at the sky. Beyond that sky, where the moon and that red star shined, lay the future she had created. Could there be a place for me there as well? It was her wish that I find somewhere new that I belonged and live on. What she said was most likely right. In which case, The mountain was astir again. I couldn't hear much else besides the sounds of the wind rocking the treetops, but the mountain itself. It certainly felt like it was shaking. Be that as it may, I didn't sense any impending crisis. I guess we're all right for tonight. I didn't want to stray far from the cottage. It seemed best to head back for now. I turned around and started to go back on the road from which we came. My stride was heavy. It felt as if lead weights sat at the bottom of my boots. It was almost like I didn't want to go home. I don't want you to die. Oh God, Sion. Don't want me to die, huh? Ever since we came to the mountain, when we settled into our new lives, Sion had feared for my future. She must have known that I didn't know what to do with the freedom I'd obtained. It hadn't been a lie that I wanted to protect her. But if I was being honest, even if I didn't protect her anymore, all that was left for her was to wait until her time came, now that the military had backed off. Why was I here? Sion, who cried and told me she wouldn't let me die. If I stayed, my presence would only make her regret everything. I wanted Shion's heart to be at peace. After finally escaping, smiling, and getting to walk around outside, the last thing I wanted to do was make her suffer. That was what Alicia and I desired. I closed my eyes against the piercing wind that suddenly blew by. That cold, dry wind which blew without end. What I saw when I managed to open my eyes. Amazing, Ryou. It's so amazing. Sion, wait! Don't run like that. Wait! What's so amazing about it? That was us. Once upon a time. Sion jogging lightly up the hill, and me chasing after her. That was... the wind, the sky, the green. That doesn't tell me anything. Yes, it was when we first made it to the mountain. The very first time I climbed the hill with Sion, the day it became her favorite spot. The wind changes this drastically depending on as a question, right? The wind changes this drastically depending on the location? Sion asked me after she climbed almost to the summit, gasping her breath. Her expression hadn't changed much from the usual, but there was no doubt she was excited. It's a little cold, but I guess the wind does feel nice. Yeah, I think the wind here is gentler than it was anywhere else on our journey. The look on her face as she stood there, her hair ravaged by the wind, was like she was in a world of her own. Although she was tired from her journey, Sion was teeming with life this day. Thank you, Ryou. Huh? There were times when I was a little nervous about where you were going to take me, but yeah, I planned to kidnap you. I like this place. I like your home. I see. Her words made me happy. The fact that my home, no different from the day I'd left, pleased her. The fact that she had accepted this place as her safe haven. And most of all, I was happy that she was smiling. If I'm here, I won't be lonely. I'm sure I'll be able to smile. Sion basked in the wind, practically speaking to herself. It seems as though she might grow wings on her back, catch the wind, and fly away any second. I agree, she looks like an angel. I remembered. This was the moment I first felt like I had met the real Sion. It was like some miracle that you were there, free as the wind. Ryou. What is it? You're just like the wind too. You gently wrapped around me and carried me all the way here. Thank you, Ryou. Thank you. Aww. When she smiled back, then I felt a deep pain in my heart. Surely, I must have had an inkling that she would someday lose that smile. Her face had become cloudy with tears. Sion had said goodbye. Offering me a future was both her wish and an act of kindness. And now, the surreal journey was over. No, it should have ended ages ago. Had we simply turned a blind eye to that reality? Had I accomplished everything I had to do here? Sis, Alicia, Major, have I done enough? Will the final gift I give Sion be to choose the future and live my life? Holy crap, well, I want to end the video here, but it's kind of noisy. I think if I skip the next one, I washed my face with cold water. Okay, never mind, it stopped. So yeah, holy crap, that video. Like, I can really understand what Sion means though. Like, for her, she already knows it's going to end, right? Her life is very close to ending, regardless of whether she stays on this, decides to stay on Earth or not. Like, for her, there's no real choice, and it doesn't really matter to her that much whether she goes into space or spends the remaining part of her life on Earth. Like, it's just her personal choice. She especially, I can understand her wanting to stay on Earth and spend the last few moments, years, months, days, whatever, on Earth rather than in some spaceship, because she spent, like, what, the most of her life, if not her entire life, locked in that research facility, right? And now that she has the first time of freedom, she just wants to enjoy and live in that moment and let those moments be her last moments, basically. And for Ryou, I mean, it always sort of felt that Ryou obviously had his reasons for protecting her, and he made promises to Alicia and whatnot, but there's just such a big difference between Sion making the choice of wanting to die on this planet and if Ryou were to do the same, because Sion just doesn't have a future anymore. She knows that, Ryou knows that, but Ryou sort of felt obligated perhaps to stay with Sion, which is perhaps part of the reason why he thinks that he wanted to stay here, or that it was the best that he would just stay here as well rather than, you know, choose for the future, as he said. But the fact that Sion now said it herself to him, that was her wish, like, I can understand it from Sion's perspective, because she created the entire opportunity for entire mankind to not be extinct. And to her, I feel that it means so much more if the person that she is basically the closest with, which is Ryou, right? If he was part of that, rather than somewhat taking it away from her because she wants to spend the final last moments of her with Ryou. Like, that's the part that she called selfish as well. Like, in the beginning, she wanted Ryou to be there. Because she said, like, yeah, I'm sort of a coward, I don't like being alone, and that she just realized the moment that Maya was here as well, that was sort of a selfish option for her, and she didn't want that. She's created this opportunity, and she wants the person that means the most to her to be a part of that as well, because otherwise it might even feel like it was all waste for her if the person that was so important to her wasn't part of that. So yeah, I can definitely understand it from Sion's position, and although it is a very sad moment, it's a moment that I feel sort of has to happen. But I'm not quite sure what Ryou is gonna do, but we'll figure that out. Like, he said that Sion might be right, but I don't think he said a definite yes yet that he's going to do that, but we'll find out in the next video. Thank you very much for watching. Please like and subscribe for more, and I'll see you in the very next video. Peace!